Good morning. Welcome to Leadership, Body, Mind, Soul, and Business Podcast, Mindset Monday. We are so glad to have you with us.
I'm Heather.
I'm Charlie.
I'm Amanda.
So the theme of this week is
Antaraya, Antaraya. It means obstacles that distract, which is really, really funny this morning because we have so many things going on that are obstacles that distract.
I always don't like it when we have this week because it's always interesting what comes up because it's like the universe is like, cool, let me show you what obstacles can distract you, like snow or no internet. These are all things we're used to having in our lives or not having.
Even just a little bit
more. Okay. Oh,
yeah. It has manifested for sure.
Right.
Right. So it's always really interesting to see how the theme actually plays into our daily lives for the week. And it's just, I don't know. It's
always an opportunity for more self-growth. Always. Like,
I'm not gonna lie to you. Today I feel like yes, it's an opportunity for growth, but I'm not liking it. It actually is kind of pissing me off today. You guys like the podcast because we're real. I'm just being real. I ain't liking it whatsoever.
Opportunities to find deeper power within ourselves comes when life seems most challenging. Joseph Campbell. So this week, in addition to obstacles distract, I'm going to talk to you guys about speaking up and finding your voice. We're all gifted with the ability to vocalize our thoughts and feelings. Sometimes social situations dictate that, maybe you shouldn't speak up. Okay, we're not talking about being a rude person.
Right.
We're talking about when we withhold our own truths from the people around us. So speaking our mind and our strengthens our relationships, boosts our own self-confidence, and relieves stress. So when we're talking about bringing our overall stress levels down, this is one way that we could be doing that. So speaking up for ourselves is a skill that the longer we don't use it, the harder it is to start up. But taking the time to learn to use your voice constructively is incredibly rewarding. The more authentically you communicate who you are to others, the deeper relationships and connections you build. The more authentic you are, so the more you know yourself, the deeper relationships and connections you build. So if you're feeling lonely, this is something you can work on. Like seriously, like this is the work that we dig into.
People in general are really attracted to authenticity. Be who you really are, because you will attract your vibe, right? Attract your vibe, attract your tribe, right? So by being your authentic true self, you're naturally gonna attract the people who are supposed to be in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking up helps you build your own self-confidence and your own self-respect. If we don't speak up, we don't contribute to making decisions in our lives, and we actually teach ourselves to not trust ourselves because we don't trust ourselves to make decisions. So if you're not speaking up your true inner self, you're actually self-destructive in a way.
Yeah.
You're teaching yourself not to trust yourself.
Right.
It sucks.
Because
one more time.
Sorry. I said the other thing too is I feel like when you don't speak up when it's necessary, you just turn into a ticking time bomb, really.
Exactly. So expressing yourself effectively actually helps you gain respect from others because they know you more authentically. So the more you authentically show up and then when you say things, you're showing up in your authentic self to them. Like they know more about you.
Right. And there's always a way to say something to get your point across with without being rude or demeaning to the other person,
Absolutely.
you know,
100%.
right?
100%. Oh yeah. Okay. Inside joke. Sorry. Hippopotamus. If you share, if you don't share and you're withholding potential positive impact behavior is being stopped. So, okay. If you verbalize situations, it opens minds and pathways. So let me put that not in Heather speak. If you don't share, you are actually withholding a potential positive impact you could be having on someone else. You could be being led to share something with somebody that they really need to hear. And you might think it's as normal as saying I love you to my kid, but maybe they need to hear it in a different, one little thing. And that could be the one thing that they need to hear. So if you're not showing up authentically who you are, you're actually withholding good changes from the world.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think an example that I can think of off the top of my head is, for those of you that don't know, I don't want to say weaseled my way in to the podcast, but I kind of weaseled my way into the podcast. And the girls were sick, and I told them, hey, if you ever need anybody to fill in, just let me know. I'm around, And then coincidentally, it was like, a week later, 2 weeks later, they took turns with COVID. And so I stepped in for a couple of weeks, and then we had actually already scheduled my podcast with Momming School. And so they're kind of like, well, here's the deal. You're kind of a part of the team. And I'm like, oh, good. I'm glad I finded myself there, And then I got really sick, and I ended up, my husband brought this other C word home, as I call it. And then I was down for like 2 weeks, and girls were like checking in. B was super sweet, and she'd check in on me, and everybody was like, have you killed anybody yet? You're still online. Glad you're doing good, And the fact that you girls went out of your way, I already thanked you for sending me that card, just like a text message. It's different when it's to do something and you do it. Is very much the same to me as speaking your truth. If it is on your heart to do something, or it just keeps coming back to you like, oh, I should do that. Oh, I should do that. Oh, I should tell that person that. Oh, I should tell that person that. Just do it, because there's a reason that is being played in your mind. And the girls didn't have to send me a card, but they did. And I got a badass little Super Mario sticker. Okay, so there was that too. But, but I was like, I felt like I was never going to be better. Like, I just felt like I was going to be sick forever, because oh my God, it sucked. But getting the card was like a reminder that there's like still a glimmer of hope. This is just a moment in time, and this too shall pass. Right? And so,
There's a rainbow at the end of the rain.
when it's on. Yeah, so, and of course I already thanked you girls in our chat or whatever, but it was something extra to get it in the mail than just to have the electronic text message or Facebook message or GIF or whatever sent. There's something to be said about getting snail mail that was not a bill. So thank you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I remember when I was a kid, I looked forward to like my birthday and Christmas coming up, because I would get cards in the mail from my grandma. And she's no longer with us, so I don't get cool stuff in the mail very often unless it's Amazon dropping something off. And I ordered it anyway. So
Yeah.
I had a distant cousin that I would we pen palled with. Like we met, and she lived in Wisconsin, and it's before Facebook or Instagram, so we would write letters to each other as kids, and I don't know, we probably started when we were like 12 to like 16, like several years. We just went back and forth through each other.
So if you have it on your heart today, on your minds today, to reach out to that friend, that coworker, that person, and just write them a little note and snail mail it, that
sometimes if it's somebody really, like in your like room, like realm or something, maybe it's a sticky note on the mirror, even to yourself, like, hey, you're awesome today. You did a
Mhm.
thing. You got up. You know, you're here. You exist because you're amazing. You know, like even if it's a note to yourself on the mirror.
Yeah, and I can't remember right now off the top of my head what they're called, but I have these little squares, right? I think they're called mindfuls or thoughtfuls, and it's like a pull tab, but it's got this nice little quote and stuff on there, a little inspirational thing in there, and it's like, you know, it's like getting your fortune cookie, right? You just get
Mhm.
this little thing, and it's flat, so those go really nicely in cards. And I think I'm out right now, but I would put those in cards for clients and things like that, you know,
You know
and
what
send them a
else
little
works
thank you.
really good too is when you get the teas and you find the teas that have the little quote on the paper at the end of the
Mhm.
string.
Yeah,
I
the
love
yogi
those.
teas have the little,
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I'm proud of that. That's a good idea because that's
Yeah.
also
Oh my,
giving a little bit of an experience, like a
yeah.
self-care moment too.
yeah, I think that's
Although I'm
really
not gonna
important.
lie, I get kind of salty if I get two of the same quotes in a row.
Like I didn't need that twice, did I?
Yeah. I got it the first time. Yeah.
So
That leads us right into obstacles that distract.
right? Okay, so the sutra and what we should think about this week. We are on, I forget what chapter it is, but choose obstacles that distract your practice and write down ways of eliminating them. So if you notice something keeps distracting you, figure out a way to eliminate them. Sit quietly and chant Om and notice how it can take your mind off some of these obstacles. So like if your phone's distracting you because your notifications keep going off, maybe you silence your notifications.
Right, or delete an app that you don't use. Sometimes like not even having it.
You can't
And
delete children though.
right.
I'm just letting you all know. I hate to be the one to tell you, we cannot delete children.
I reminded a friend today that the bathroom locks and that she could take her wine in there and some pillows and hang out in the bathtub if she needed to. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes moms need a minute when the kids have had a 4-day weekend.
Absolutely. They really do. And also the next time you sit for meditation, notice if your body is uncomfortable or restless sitting on the floor. If it is, try meditating while sitting on a chair. You can even lay down to meditate. You know, the goal is not necessarily to fall asleep, but there's this really magical place between being asleep and being awake where you're conscious of everything that's going on around you, but your awareness is within yourself, and it's you know it when you get there.
And if you haven't got there, it's something to keep working towards.
It does take
Don't
practice,
think that you can't get there.
and it doesn't happen every time. So
So the point of the idea is to think about, like, if the way you're sitting is hurting your body and that's pulling you out of being in this relaxed mental state, that's why you're going to try a different position. There's no like one position you could be in to reach that position.
right, absolutely. And then also think about the goal of meditation isn't necessarily to um, reach that place, but that place is where your mind is the most calm, right? Think of it as stilling the waters, right? All those thoughts are those ripple effects, those pebbles being dropped in the water, creating ripples, and you want to calm the surface as much as you can. And it's not going to be perfect, you know, and you can even imagine that as you meditate and as you think about that.
That's cool.
Isn't it cool?
That's really cool. Now I have this vision of the lake being really calm, and then like the little fish comes up to get the bug off, and then there's like that little ripple, like
That's one thought. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. So as we're talking about this, I'm sorry.
Sorry. There's like a huge delay. I'm sorry, girls. As you're talking about like calming waters, like the only thing that's coming to my mind today is like my stream is a dump truck of gravel being dumped into the stream.
that's kind of what it feels like right now. Everything
Yeah.
all at once, right? So
Today
your
was just,
obstacles that distract.
I
yeah,
think
Right
too,
there.
there's that thing that happens after you've been sick, where you come up for air and you see the dishes and you see the laundry and you see everything. There's this like, it's super overwhelming. And you're like, I still don't feel good, but all of this stuff still needs to happen.
Mhm.
It will
Yeah.
happen. Like, you just
Well,
remember
and
to
I
have
think
grace.
too, I was looking so forward. I was supposed to be there in the studio with the girls today. And then we had 4 inches at least at my house of snow, slicker than snot on the roads. So I decided I was not going to risk it for a biscuit. I stayed home. And then I go to charge my phone and I not only flipped a breaker, but fried my charger. And I'm like, this is stupid. This is stupid. So that's where Amanda is today.
Obstacles, all the obstacles,
Yes.
right?
All
So
the
many.
distractions.
So, some things you can do to kind of help you get through learning to find your own voice. So, first off, you need to do a self-assessment on your strengths and weaknesses. And this is something we can drop into at any time. Should I go through the questions?
We will post all the questions,
It's
all
a
the
lot of them.
specific
I was
questions
like,
and stuff
there's the same
later.
questions.
So keep an eye out for those. We
Okay.
will post the questions and stuff that you can ask yourself
So
later.
basically you figure out like where you know is going to be the hard part for you to, what is your obstacle to speaking up, right? Like what is going to stop you from using your own true voice? Is it going, to mom and dad's on Thanksgiving? Is it, so you can plan for it then, because that's one of the biggest things. So practice speaking up for yourself in low risk situations first. So this is like when you let the waiters know that, you want a refill on your soda, like, just speaking up for yourself.
Yeah. Don't be a bull in a china shop right off the bat, but
you got to learn to find that inner voice. Like, hey, I'm not comfortable in this situation.
Right.
Maybe I should talk to you about that. Why am I not comfortable? Maybe that's the conversation you have, like, I don't know what this means.
Speak up, speak right. Don't overdo it. Others have feelings and the same right to be heard. So make sure you choose a time to have the hard conversations that is appropriate. Remember to use positive language and don't put the other person down, okay? We are here to support each other and straighten each other's crown, not to knock it off. Okay? We're all queens here. Act like it.
Speaking up for yourself authentically isn't taking someone else down.
Right?
It's not a roundhouse kick to the crown.
No,
Right.
it's not. No roundhouse kicking.
Love on your fellow ladies
Yes.
appropriately. Be kind.
What others think may not always line up with what you think, but your opposing views may just as well help the situation or project a new way to go. So if you hear someone's talking and you're like, I don't want to speak up and disagree with them. But if you do, then you open the possibility for a different direction and for the conversation to go. It's not like you're accusing them. It's, you're just like, hey, I have this other idea. Or like, what if we took what you're doing and we flipped it and we looked at it from this direction? You're opening up communication and you're opening up those creative pathways so that authentically you guys can both work through a situation.
And also, we only know what we know, and we only speak from our past experiences. Maybe you are making a judgment based on your past experiences and you don't even realize it. Okay, so just note to self.
And I think something that guys definitely excel in is listening to the other views, whether that's just the two of you. But I know since I've been with you gals, I've tossed out a few ideas, and not one time have I ever felt like, oh God. And some of them have been like, we went that same direction. And then there's been some where it was like, that's a good idea, but we need to wait on that. And no one was offended. You know what I mean? If I not said that, it wouldn't have been thought of maybe, So sometimes the suggestion that you put out we even thought it could be.
Right. Right. And another thing we do with our team is if somebody has an idea or a way to make an improvement, we take it under advisement and, we'll try it out and see how it works. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, great. And, and then we'll
Even
figure
throwing
it out.
out the option of like, hey, if one of you can't show up, well, in our minds, we're like, what would happen if one of us couldn't show up? I don't know. What would we do? I don't know. It's like, oh, that was a good idea. Yeah. Thanks, Amanda. Back burner it. Then sickness happens and then we already have a plan, right?
Right.
There's already a plan in place.
There's already a plan in place.
When we
And so
have mindset Monday, if you and Angela hadn't suggested it.
Right.
right.
Right. So, where are we? Forget perfect. It is better to say something than to worry about it being perfect. Sparking further conversation can be just as important. Speak up. Okay. Approaching somebody and saying, or, something comes up and you'll be like, I'm not sure if that's going to work for what we need right now. There's always a positive way to put that,
And just even saying, I'm not comfortable. Can we slow down, or can we put a pin in that? Cause my brain's not quite there, or
I need a minute to
Yeah.
think about that. I
Like-
need a minute to breathe,
it doesn't have to be perfect. And you can say, okay, I'm trying to figure out how I feel about this. Can you give me a minute? And then, you have to follow through. Like, you can't just like leave that as a way to end a conversation. Then come back. You agreed that you're going to come back and talk about it at such and such time. Let's talk about that like next Monday, or Sunday night after the kids go to bed, or, just putting it out there, and then a time of when you'll come back to it so that you can think about how you feel about a situation, really feel about a situation. Encourage others to speak up. You strengthen relationships and help others when you give them the room in the conversation to speak up for themselves too.
Yeah. I keep thinking about, and I don't know, somebody must need to hear this, because here I am again, when something keeps coming up, say something. And what's coming up for me in my mind is school. There's been so much like talk, and whatever part of the, I'm just gonna say, debate you're on is fine with me. That's your opinion, you're entitled to it. But it was tough for me to decide if I did public school or homeschool my kids this year because of everything that's been going on, and I made the personal choice to homeschool my kids this year because I didn't like what was going on and I didn't see it changing. And a lot of in the community, some I wouldn't come to said pretty terrible to me.
Oh.
It's just not nice. And I was batshit crazy. Like,
Okay,
I just,
so Amanda, you're
imagine-
cutting up really bad. So I'm going to reiterate that you chose to homeschool your kids, and then you got some reaction from the community that was not necessarily good. Is that what I'm hearing?
yes. So yeah, I was basically told I was a kook and homeschool the kids. Is it breaking up?
And everybody has the right to that personal choice of homeschooling the kids or not. And which actually, what you're talking about right now, Amanda, honey, you're still breaking up really, really bad. But this week's quote is, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Winston Churchill. Okay. I think if we're more willing to sit down and listen to the other person's point of view, their perspective, we get a better understanding of where that person is at, where they're coming from, or that group of people, or whatever the case may be. and you can better find a middle ground, right? You find those
There's
commonalities.
no reason that your opinion needs to be so forcibly put upon someone else that it makes them feel like crap.
Right,
Like, why do we got to be like that? We don't need to be.
right. If they believe what you believe, that's cool, but we don't need to force our beliefs onto somebody else. You can't make somebody believe something they don't. Period.
You can open
Yeah.
their mind to having a discussion that, hey, this is why I think you should send them to school. This is why, I mean,
Do people's
Hundred
beliefs change over time? Absolutely, but that's through learning and self-educating and experience.
and if you're using the kind of language that puts someone down, you're closing people off instead of opening them.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, we could definitely talk for hours because we
definitely
all
could.
really, really like each other. I'm going to direct you over to our website,
Right.
the Women in Leadership, BSMB.com, all one word, all no spaces, no nothing. That's us.com. Go check us out. We got the websites up and running. Join the email list right on from the website. Super duper exciting. This week we have a special episode tomorrow evening, 4 p.m. Pacific. We're going to be talking with Angela Wallace, and we're going to have a couple extra guests come in. So we're still hammering out all the details, make sure everyone's well and up and running. So I don't want to put someone out there and then they can't show up and make them feel bad. That's not the plan. See, we're using positive language. Wednesday.
Wednesday we have the wonderful, amazing Dr. Hema Murty, who is a literal genius, you guys. She is a actual, for real, like rocket scientist.
She's really, really, really intelligent.
I
think she's a physicist.
I think she is a physicist. Anyway, super smart, way smarter than me, but we're super happy to have her on. She is a blessing.
She speaks Sanskrit, so she's going to teach us how to actually say this week's word. That's going to happen. So she actually is really quite amazing. So we're really excited to have her on. And Friday,
we have Lisa Hannigan. She is beautiful and inspiring and absolutely incredible. You guys
are in for a treat.
Definitely.
It's really going to be a nice way to round out the week.
It is.
So thank you so much for joining the Women in Leadership, Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast, Mindset Monday. Namaste.